So here we have the lymphatic system, which I term the tree of life. It's a network of tissues and organs that help rid the body of toxins, waste, and other unwanted materials. The primary function of the lymphatic system is to transport lymph, which is a fluid containing infection fighting white blood cells, which is your WBCs, they call it, throughout the body. It's a plasma liquid that you see in the bloodstream. So here we have a little, picture of where the lymphatic nodes are located in our bodies. And here you can see the cervical lymph nodes, the thoracic duct, the thymus, axillary lymph nodes, spleen, lymphatics of the upper limb, inguinal lymph nodes, the ones of the lower limb, pelvic lymph nodes, the lumbar lymph nodes, the cisterna, chyli lymph nodes, and the lymphatics of the mammary glands. And as we go into our talks tonight, we will explain where and how your lymphatic system works. As we spoke about earlier, and each and every one of us knows that the lymphatic system is part of our immune system. It maintains fluid balance and plays an important role, listen carefully, in absorbing fats and fat-soluble nutrients. Yet no one pays specific attention to it. It is left, you know, um, silent, and everybody thinks that we have to, keep our system in order. Yet we're looking at different, parts of our body to keep healthy. But then the main thing that we refuse to pay attention to is our lymphatic system. What the lymphatic or lymph system involves, it involves an extensive network of vessels. And these vessels passes through almost all of our tissues to allow for the movement of the fluid called lymph, which circulates throughout the body, just as similar as the way the blood flows through the circulatory system. I normally say it works side by side with each other, parallel to each other. It consists of the lymph vessels, ducts, nodes, and other tissues. Do you know that there are about 600 lymph nodes in your body? And when they go out of whack, I normally say, these nodes swell, they get swollen in response to infection and also due to a buildup of lymph fluid. And we're going to go on a journey here so that you understand how the system works and why we get how we get and behave in the way which we behave when it comes to bacteria, viruses, pathogens that affect our body. And these and other organisms and immune system cells. So when these nodes get inflamed, these are the responses that happen in the nodes, in the lymph nodes in our system. So example, a person with a throat infection, what you feel, your glands are swollen by the throat area there, right? And it can be especially felt under the jaw or in your armpits or groin area. But what we have to take note of, these are in fact not glands. As we always say, your glands swell, we are talking and say, oh, well, your glands swell. No, but it's the lymph nodes that get inflamed and swollen. And sometimes when we have these things happening, we need to get it checked out. So if it doesn't go away, what we normally do, sometimes the nodes get hard or rubbery, and it's difficult to move. And if there is fever or unexplained weight loss or difficulty in breathing or swallowing, well, no, then it's the time to take a check and see your medical doctor. So some of the fast facts about the lymphatic system is that it plays key roles, number one, in the immune system. One, in terms of the fluid balance and the absorption of fats and fat-soluble nutrients. This is very important, people, because when we go deeper into this session, you will understand why I say it is very important. So take notes. And of course, we will be answering questions at the end, and so So keep taking notes as to what your questions are so you wouldn't forget at the end. And as the lymph vessels drain fluid from the body tissues, this enables the foreign material to be delivered to the lymph nodes for assessment by the immune system cells. So as it goes through in a particular flow, the body now starts to, the cells intelligence of the body and the immune system and the white blood cells starts to check it out, right? The lymph nodes swell in response to infection. Due to the buildup of lymph fluid, bacteria or other organisms and immune system cells. What is another fact of the lymphatic system is that the lymph nodes can also become infected, yes, in a condition known as lymphadenitis, all right? And we will explain that as we go later down. If the lymph nodes remain swollen, you tend to have a feeling of being hard and rubbery. And if there are other symptoms, well, again, you need to check your medical doctor. Now, the lymphatic system has three functions. One of the functions, it maintains the balance, as you keep hearing me say, of fluid between the blood and tissues, known as fluid homeostasis, meaning that it keeps balance, equilibrium within the system. It forms part of the body's immune system and helps defend against bacteria and other intruders. So now you're getting the picture in your mind how important your lymphatic system. So many of us who are having issues and think it's just the liver, it's just the kidneys, it's just the pancreas, it's just the blood, it's just the heart circulation, you know where it is stemming from. It all starts in the lymphatic system. Yet, as I say, no one pays specific attention to it. So I'm hoping tonight that we really take a serious note of our lymphatic system, because that to me is the tree of life, beginning of life and ending of life as well. It facilitates absorption of fat and your fat soluble nutrients in your digestive system. Are we thinking now? Yes, man, let's put our thinking hats on. Now the system has special small vessels called lacteals. These enable it to absorb fat and fat-soluble nutrients from the gut. They work with the blood capillaries in the folded surface membrane of the small intestine. And guess what? The blood capillaries absorb other nutrients directly into the bloodstream. So when it filters through the system, and as we go deeper, we will understand how it's absorbed into the body. All right. So the anatomy part of the lymphatic system, it consists of lymph vessels, ducts, nodes, and other tissues. Around 2 liters of fluid leak from the cardiovascular system into the body tissues every day. The lymphatic system is a network of vessels that collect these fluids. All lymph, which we spoke about earlier, is a clear fluid that is derived from blood plasma. So, you know, sometimes you notice when you get a cut on your hand and this clear fluid comes and it starts to have a fibrin connective tissues there and starts to seal the cut. That is what it is, your lymph fluid. All right. So instead of the platelets now, the right way the platelets work is to come outside to seal the cut. If the platelets are agglutinating on the inside, which means they are clotting and pumping, clotting and inside internally, then you know we're having some issues with circulation there. All right. So it's good on the outside, but no, not good on the inside. So these vessels, right, the lymph vessels, they form a network which are like branches that reach most of the body tissues, as you can see on the screen. And they work in similar way to how your blood vessels work. So you know when I say they work side by side, parallel to each other, right? The lymph vessels work with the veins to return the fluid from the tissues. So unlike the blood, right, when the lymphatic fluid is not pumped, but squeezed through these vessels, it comes out through our vessels when we use our muscles. So hey, if your muscles is atrophied and you're not exercising, you're not using your muscles, guess what's going to happen? chronic conditions is going to start take place because the lymph nodes are now getting, clogged up, and you starting to feel all kinds of, complications and start to go on pain and different things that may be happening in the system. So the properties of the lymph vessel walls and the valves help control the movement of lymph. So every blood vessel at a microcirculation level, just like the lymphatic system, have valves. But guess what? When these valves lock off, they don't regurgitate and flows back in. It's only one way out. And sometimes these vessels get plugged, all right? And then we have some issues taking place. However, like the veins, the lymphatic vessels, as I just explained, have valves inside them to stop fluid from flowing back into the wrong direction. All right? So when the lymph is drained, it drains progressively towards your larger vessels until it reaches two main channels. And you can see them on the screen where the two main channels is. The lymphatic ducts in our trunk. And from there, the filtered lymph fluid returns the blood to the blood in the veins. So you see how it's important it works synergistically with your circulation. And I'll tell you why the lymph now, you can see a picture in your mind how the blood is, working together with the lymph system. If lymph system is out of whack, what happens to the blood? And if the blood, so it really stems from the tree of life, as I call it, the lymphatic system. All right. So these vessels branch through junctions called lymph nodes, which you are seeing on the screen. And these are often referred to as glands, but they are not true glands, as they do not form part of the endocrine system. And we had a lovely session, two-part series with the endocrine system with my wonderful partner. I call him Master Clive, hailing from Jamaica there. If you're on the call, big up to you and Sir Donald. Lovely to have you guys here. Really, really appreciate you all for your support. And that's what leaders do. They log in, even if we still try to get a 5 minutes of each other into, progression, which I call in health and wellness, that the passion we have. And we had a wonderful session on the endocrine system, which we may, review at a later stage. But, we need to talk about, other things of the human body. And in the lymph nodes, there are something called immune cells, your immune cells, which assess for foreign material. And it goes through, it's just like the system looking for things, garbage in our bloodstream, in our lymphatic system that can, work against us, such as bacteria, viruses, or fungus. And I'll show you how these things are seen in a bladder, folks. You will see your body from a different angle tonight. So the lymph nodes are not only lymphatic tissues in the body, but the tonsils, spleen, and thymus gland are also lymphatic tissues. So what do the tonsils do? We go into details with the tonsil, spleen, and the thymus gland. They are located at the back of the mouth. And sometimes they take off your tonsils surgically, and they say because you're getting too sick, and you have allergies, and blah, 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 and the list goes on, and they say, all right, first thing, take out. But listen, you really need your tonsils. So if the system is not functioning as it used to or should be, then we have an issue, because you're taking out a part of your body that produces lymphocytes. Hello? Lymphocytes are a type of your white blood cells and antibodies to help fight against infection and inflammation in your body. And they have a strategic point. Guess what? They hang down from a ring forming the junction between the mouth and the pharynx. So I'm teaching you the anatomy of your human body as well. So you can feel, touch, and open up your mouth in a mirror and see, where locate where the strategic position is in your tonsils is. And guess what? It enables them to protect against inhaled and swallowed foreign bodies. And the tonsils are the tissues affected by tonsillitis, which is simply causing the tonsils to become swollen. Tonsillitis, anything of itis, is inflammation in the body. All right? A sore throat, you might have those feelings, difficulty in swallowing. So that's the important role of the tonsils, how it works with the lymphatic system. All right? It's a lymphatic tissue, nerves. Right? The spleen now. Many of us do not really understand what our spleen does. And you see it right there on the screen, that little purple picture there that we're seeing at the spleen. You know what the spleen does? It's really not connected to this lymphatic system in the same way as the lymph nodes do. But guess what? It's a lymphoid tissue. And what that means, it plays a role in the production of your white blood cells. Hello, hello. That form part of the immune system. Its major role is to filter the blood to remove microbes, which are these little critters in the bloodstream that's causing problems, and old and damaged red blood cells and platelets. So that is very, very important. So when the spleen is ruptured or you have an accident or it's not functioning right, we start to have all kinds of things happening to our bodies. Our red blood cells is not producing as it should. So you have to be on prescribed meds for the rest of your life to make that regulated and work. So do you understand why everything that the divine has put into our body has a role to play and what it does? All right. And then you build red blood cells in 120 days. It's also destroyed in 120 days. So that's what that spleen does. It regulates the blood cells and platelets in our body and help remove, unwanted aliens from our system, as I would say. The thymus gland. Wow, wow, wow. I love my thymus gland. It's a lymphatic organ, yes, and an endocrine gland, and is found just behind the sternum. All right. It secretes hormones and is crucial, very crucial in the making and maturing and differentiation of the immune T cells. So when you hear you go and do a blood report and you see T cells, you see B cells, you wonder, well, what do you mean by T cells and B cells and CD4 cells and all of that? Well, it is attached to your to that organ, that gland in your body called the thymus gland. That's why it's called the T cell. And what the T cell does, it makes T cells are T lymphocytes, and their role is to directly kill infected host cells, producing cytokines, which is molecules that help in regulating the immune response to fight against bacteria, pathogens. Well, for in word pathogens we would use because it means bacteria and microbes and viruses in our body. And they also help not only help to activate the B cells to secrete antibodies and macrophages, which is actually specialized cells that detect bacteria, people, and other harmful organisms. It's like a little, I normally say, it looks like a little Pac-Man eating up all these, grubs in our bloodstream. That's what it does to destroy and ingest these unwanted bacteria in our system. It is very active in the developing in the immune system from before birth and throughout childhood. All right. So that's what the importance of that thymus gland does through, in our lymphatic system. The bone marrow, which is very, very important, is also not a lymphatic tissue, but it can be considered part of the lymphatic system because guess what? It is here that the B cell lymphocyte, which is white blood, part of the white blood cells of the immune system, becomes mature in your bone marrow. So if there's abnormality going on in your blood, which sends into the bone marrow to produce these B cells to help fight inflammation and infection, we have serious things happening in our body that these cells can go rogue and they can cause inflammatory responses to the system and can go chronic so that certain cancers and all these things stem from there. Now, the liver of a fetus, I have to bring to your attention why we say the liver of the fetus, because during gestation period, the liver of the fetus is what is regarded as part of the lymphatic system. And that is where it plays the role in lymphocyte development as, in the fetal form, when in the fetus. That's what the liver does. And the function of the lymph system has three main functions. And we were talking, as we're coming down in the session, now we reach to the functions of what the lymph system does. One, it helps maintain the fluid balance. It returns excess fluid and proteins listen carefully, here is where it comes very sticky, from the tissues that cannot be returned through the blood vessels. The fluid, this fluid, right, is found in tissue spaces and cavities and in the tiny spaces surrounding the cell. So when I pull up the blood sample on this slide, I'll show you through the interstitial spaces in the bloodstream that where these fluid is found. And here's what happened. These are reached by the smallest blood and lymph capillaries, microcirculation level. In most instances, the body is not functioning properly, and there where we find other issues taking place, like you see spider veins, different things happening. You say, oh gosh, we have varicose veins and all of these things. That is where the starting of circulatory issues starts to happen. DVT and all these other issues taking place, health issues happening in our body. About 90% of this plasma reaches tissues from your arterial blood capillaries and is returned by the venous, which is the vein capillaries, and back along the veins. The remaining 10% is drained back into the lymphatics. So you see how important the lymphatic system is towards in line with the circulatory system. Each day, about 2 to 3 liters is returned. And guess what? This fluid includes proteins that are too large to be transported via the blood vessels. So opening up your mind, and as we go into why these, you will understand why this is important. Loss of the lymphatic system would be fatal within a day if this doesn't happen. And without your lymphatic system draining these excess fluid, our tissues would swell, become swollen, our blood volume would be lost, and pressure would increase. So here's what? High blood pressure. Ring a bell? All these different abnormalities taking place, cardiovascular issues, and so forth. So now we're getting the picture, right? So the other part, the second part, is absorption, the second function. Most, and here's where it gets interesting, most of the fats absorbed from the GI tract, which is your gastrointestinal tract, are taken up in a part of the gut membrane in the small intestine that is specially adapted by the lymphatic system. Many of you who do blood work with me and I show you on your blood what happens and how the nutrients pass through and they villize in the bloodstream from the large intestine to absorb nutrients back into the system through the lymphatic system to give the body the energy and the nutrition it needs. If that is not working properly, well, you just might be eating healthy. You might per se taking supplements and you're only feeding acidity back into your system. This is the process. This is what happens. This is the why it is happening. All right. And the lymphatic system has tiny lacteals. All right. We talked about our word earlier on. And these are the small lymphatic capillaries in the gut, in the part of intestines that form part of the villi. All right. Like finger-looking type protruding structures from the intestine by tiny folds in the absorptive surface of the gut. So when digestion takes place in the small intestine and it goes through the process, it filters through the large intestines to be absorbed all the minerals and nutrients into the villi and to be absorbed as nutrients in the body flows back through the lymphatic system. If it's acidic or different things, abnormalities are taking place, if it's not healthy, well, then you're getting unhealthy back feeding into the bloodstream. So hence the reason why we have all these illnesses and we feel all these, differentiation taking place in our bodies, fogginess, all these things in our brain, our circulation. I mean, I could go on and on. And when these capillaries absorb, and guess what, folks? These lymphatic capillaries absorb dietary fats. Hello, ring a bell? And transports material that is too large to enter into the bloodstream directly. And you know what that is? The blood, which is the fatty lipids, if the system is not functioning correctly, then here's what's going to happen. All right. If the lacteals absorb fat and fat-soluble vitamins to it forms a milky white fluid called chyle. Now the milky white fluid that when you see in a bloodstream, which we'll further show on the slides later down, is the interstitial spaces there where you see this white formation. And that is seen in the blood as it's called, in the form of chylomicrons. And you know what is the breakdown of chylomicrons? Guess what? LDL, low density lipoproteins. So that's where the fattiness, the bad fats are in the bloodstream. All right. And then if the triglycerides, it's really amazing when you look at this lymphatic system, the fluid that contains the lymph now and the emulsified fats, which is the triglycerides, which breaks down by bile and break down by the enzyme lipids. We talk about digestion when the lipids, if your enzymic function is not working properly, liver, pancreas, spleen, gallbladder. We have been, for those who have been on my sessions would hear me talking about this, these organs that helps to break down or the free fatty acid. It delivers the nutrients indirectly when it reaches the venous blood circulation. So if these fat lipids are not being absorbed, guess what? They're pumping back into the bloodstream and the blood capillaries when it has to take up other nutrients directly and causing these back up in the system. And guess what you're going to have? Bad LDLs, in the body if it's not regulating right. The third function is the immune system, which is the lymphatic system produces the white blood cells as we're talking about it, or the lymphocytes that are crucial, again, in fending off infection. So one, we see here how it works in the fluid balance, then the absorption of your fatty lipids in the bloodstream, very important. And now we're looking at the production of the white blood cells in the immune system to fend off infections and inflammation in our system. The third function is to defend the body against unwanted organisms. And without it, we would die very soon from an infection. Let me read that again. To defend the body from unwanted organisms. Without it, we would die very soon from an infection. Our bodies are constantly exposed to potential hazardous microorganisms such as infections. And the body's first line of defense involves what? One, physical barriers such as our skin, toxic barriers such as the acidic contents of the stomach, and we have also friendly bacteria in the body. However, pathogens, which we talk about, what is pathogens? Bacteria, virus, microorganisms that cause diseases in our body. Often these do succeed in entering the body despite these defenses. So our skin may have some problems, stomach issues, the friendly bacteria go unfriendly. We talk about the microbiome, and Master Clive did a wonderful job in explaining. I hope those of you took notes, because if you don't, as I said before, if we don't take note, without it, we would die very soon from any infection that hits our body. And I'm very passionate when it comes to health and wellness, because I understand and I know I am seeing it happen every day. I'm a frontliner as well as I treat patients, and I see this is happening every day. People do not take care of themselves. And when you could preach till your liver come out and give them your heart, and still they're not going to take heed. But there's going to come a time when they will have to, because a lot of things are happening that our MDs just is too much for us to do, So when these enter into our body, despite these defenses, the lymphatic system enables our immune system to respond appropriately. So it is forced now to do certain things to respond appropriately. And I'll tell you something, it might sound funny. You see all these barriers and these defenses, it means nothing, because none of us takes care of ourselves. So it just passing through the barriers and just entering into your bloodstream. And here we have cases of people dying left, right, and center because of lack of knowledge, that people perish. So now you're understanding why I am so passionate when it comes to giving information on your system, your biological system. And if the immune system is not able to fight off these organisms or pathogens, they can be harmful and even fatal, as we have been preaching coming down from the beginning. So a number of different immune cells and special molecules work together in our lymphatic system to fight off these unwanted pathogens. So that's the third part of what the if the lymphatic system does, the three functions of it. So now we're going to walk into how does the lymphatic system fight infection. All right, very, very important information here. It produces, as we say, white blood cells known as lymphocytes. So sometimes you see on your medical report, lymphocytes, WBC, which is white blood cell count, monocytes, eosinophils, neutrophils, lymphocytes, all of these. That is what compiles of, the white blood cells in the lymphatic system. And these two types actually of lymphocytes are produced to help fight infections are your T cells and B cells. And I did explain earlier on how the T cells are built in the thymus gland, which activates the B cells to help fight off macrophages in your system, which is all these little critters that, bacteria comes into your body, so it eats them up. They travel through the lymphatic, both travel through your lymphatic system. As they reach your lymph nodes, they are filtered and become activated by contact with viruses, bacteria, or any foreign particles, and so on in your lymph fluid. All right. I'm seeing somebody trying to get in here. Let me bring him in. Thank you. From this stage, the pathogens or invaders now are known as antigens. All right. How they work? These T cells or B cells activate, and your NK cells, which is your natural killer cells, I call them the nuke cells, people, because that is where your frontliners, your army cells, start to fight against inflammation and infection in the system. And as it becomes activated, they form, we know these terms, antibodies, which start to defend the body. And they also produce antibodies. And listen carefully, if you had been infected earlier or previously, or in, times gone with some disease or some virus, it produces the antibodies from memory, and if they have already encountered that specific pathogen in the past. Okay? Collections of lymph nodes are concentrated, as you've seen on the side, the screen, the neck, armpit, and groin. We become aware of these on one or both sides of the neck when we develop a so-called swollen glands, as you say, your glands swollen, all right, in response to an illness. These glands come swollen and inflamed if lymph nodes when there is a infection or inflammation taking place in our body. That's what we call in response to an illness, clinically termed, all right? In these lymph nodes, the lymphocytes first encounter the pathogens. They communicate with each other, which they have their own secret intelligence. They move through the body, right? And start to set off their defensive response. So in a split second, this is what goes on with our body system. I believe somebody has their mic on. I'm hearing a feedback. Let me see. Okay, great. And the defense mechanism goes into action. Your army cells starts working for you. Activated lymphocytes then pass through, which is your white blood cells, pass through the lymphatic system so that they can reach the bloodstream. Because that's where, when you get ill or anything happens to you, the first thing a doctor do is take your blood, right? They want to take a whole pint of your blood. Some people is normally say, but 3 vials they normally take to check these. Your lymph fluid, the blood, and then the other one that works with the organs in the body. All right, and they activated these lymphocytes pass through the lymphatic system. So when it reaches the bloodstream, now they are equipped to spread the immune response throughout the body. So once it hits the blood barrier and it goes into the blood, it starts to circulate. So it starts to target all these, unnecessary pathogens that's fighting in our system. So the lymphatic system and the action of these lymphocytes, of which your body has trillions, form part of what we call immunologists call the adaptive immune response. All right, so all these setups starts to work in the immune system to adapt and give way to the response. So these are highly specific and long-lasting responses to particular pathogens in our system. So now we move on to some types. We spoke about the lymphatic system. We just spoke about how it fights infection. And now we are looking at some of the diseases that are caused when the lymphatic system is not working properly. If your nodes, ducts, vessels, or lymph tissues become blocked, infected, inflamed, or many of us don't like to use the C word, cancerous. Okay? One of the diseases is called lymphoma. It's a cancer that starts in the lymphatic system and is known as lymphoma, and it is the most serious lymphatic disease. I'll tell you why, because when that gets into there, it starts to spread. Once anything hits the lymphatic system, it spreads like wildfire throughout the body. And sometimes, most times, it cannot be contained. All right. Hodgkin lymphoma affects a specific type of the white blood cell known as the Reed-Sternberg cells. And non-Hodgkin lymphoma refers to types that do not involve these cells. So there are two types. I have seen persons with this sort of condition on their skin, and believe me, you do not want to see a loved one with this, because it is really horrifying to look at their bodies, because all their lymph nodes is swollen on the outside of their body. All right. Cancer that affects the lymphatic system is usually a secondary cancer. This means it has spread from a primary tumor, such as the breast, to nearby or regional lymph nodes. So it's important that once we pick it up, is to stop it at a point. And, we're going to talk about, certain things that, we can use later down. And once it happens that way, your body has a fighting chance. But many of us are diagnosed when it's far past gone these stages, and we are now playing catch up. So it's important to, I will take a little break here. It is important to just say this to you all, that when you start to feel a thing or something, you feel a little poke here, a stick here, and something, is your body telling you things are happening, and it is to take note. Don't wait till it gets out of hand. Another disease is called lymphadenitis, which is when the lymph node swells, it becomes infected, and it is filled with pus, creating an abscess. And sometimes where these areas are, the skin over these nodes may look red or streaky in nature. All right. Localized lymphadenitis affects the nodes near the infected area. For example, like a result of tonsillitis. So if you remember how the tonsils get inflamed, it affects it near the infected area. And that's an example that I could give you, localized in that way. Generalized lymphadenitis can happen when a disease spreads through the bloodstream and affects the entire body. Causes range from sepsis to an upper respiratory tract infection. So we're understanding what's taking place here within our body. Sepsis is when it becomes toxic now, and it cannot be treated in a timely manner. Most people die when sepsis starts to take place, because sometimes it's autoimmune, different things, So that's another, session by itself. Then we have the lymphedema. Now, if the lymphatic system is not working properly again, for example, there's an obstruction, the fluid is not draining effectively, it builds up and it leads to swelling, for example, in one part of the body, like an arm or a leg. I have seen cases of this in nature as well. Most times it's too late and they die, right? And this is called lymphedema. The skin would become tight and hard, and the skin problems may occur because in cases the fluid may start to leak through the skin, broken. Sometimes you see that happening with people with chronic kidney issues, and their swollen liver issues, cancer of the liver, and their feet swell so big that they can't drain the fluid. The lymph node is not doing what it should, so congested, it starts to break and drip, leak off through their feet, the swelling. I have seen it happen, and it is not an easy sight to see when you see that lymph leaking out. All right. Then we have, and most times as we talk about the leaking through the skin, sometimes You can have obstruction, which can result from surgery like radiation therapy, injury, or a condition known as lymphatic filariasis, or really, most times it could be a congenital disorder. All right. So let's look at why these lymph nodes swell. These swollen glands, for example, like we look at in the neck during a throat infection, are in fact your enlarged lymph nodes. And the lymph nodes can swell for two common reasons. One, a reaction to an infection where foreign materials are presented in the immune cells and the lymph that is drained from the infected tissues. A second reaction can happen direct in swollen lymph nodes, can have direct infection of the lymph nodes where it become infected and inflamed as a result of certain infections that need promptly antibiotic treatment. And this is lymphadenitis, most cases. All right. Most people who have swollen glands with a cold or flu do not really necessarily need to see a doctor because you can take certain, um, prescribed medication for it and your vitamin C and so forth. However, my advice to you, seek medical advice if it goes longer than 1 or 2 weeks, swollen, and the node feels hard or fixed in one place, or swelling is accompanied by fever, night sweat, or unexplained weight loss. It can be swollen lymph nodes, can be symptoms of numerous conditions such as glandular fever, where infectious mononucleosis takes place, the cell viral infection, which can cause long-lasting swelling, sore throat, and fatigue. Another symptom can be tonsillitis, which we spoke about mostly in children, common in children than in adults. And that's when the lymph nodes at the back of the mouth are fighting off infection. Usually it's viral in origin, but sometimes it can be bacterial. Pharyngitis, which is an infection commonly called strep throat. It is caused by the group of the streptococcus bacteria, and it can cause lymph nodes to swell as well. Most times in this case, you need antibiotics for these sort of, conditions. And last but not least, children are more prone to these swollen nodes because you know why? Their immune systems are still developing and their responses to these bacteria. So sometimes, you might ask now, what are the treatments? How certain things we can use? Well, I'm going to talk about treatment now. And in some cases, um, you can do underlying um, um, treatment like the lymphedema. You be treated by elevation, compression, and physical therapy. Cancers of the lymphatic treatment, though, are treated, as we know from a clinical standpoint, from chemo, radiation, surgery, or a combination of them all. All right. I call the lymphatic system the tree of life, and it is necessary, folks, to maintain health throughout your entire body and makes life and healing possible, because now it is costing you more a doctor bill to try and diagnose what is happening to you than if you follow certain healthy guidelines. And small efforts such as eating whole organic food and drinking pure water can actually greatly affect the efficiency of how your lymphatic system works. Many of us don't drink water. We put in soft drinks. We put in processed juices in our body that causing stones in our body and all these kinds of things. And that, if we continue doing these things, we are not able to protect and defend our entire body. Sometimes you might see signs of lymphatic system blockages, like where you might see lymphedema signs like, affected the arm or legs, swelling in your arm or leg, including fingers or toes, a feeling of heaviness or tightness in the body, restricted range of motion, aching, discomfort, infections that constantly keep reoccurring in your body, certain types of yeast and candidiasis taking place in your system, hardening and thickening of the skin, which is called fibrosis. All right. And one asked me at some point in time, how does you drain your lymphatic system? Well, one of these trunks, the right lymphatic duct, which you're seeing there, drains the upper right portion of the body and returning lymph, which is the liquid, to the bloodstream via the right subclavian vein. All right. The other trunk, the thoracic duct, drains the rest of the body into the left subclavian vein. Some of the steps you can try to detox your lymphatic system by exercising regularly is one of the easiest ways to promote healthy lymphatic system. Stress management, doing your meditation, stretching, breathing, and other forms of relaxation are necessary, because when you do stretches, it actually helps the lymphatic system, the lymph nodes to drain and flow. All right. And you can maintain a well-functioning lymphatic system. Some people do saunas, they do herbal supplementations, body massages, body wraps, hydrotherapy, and the list goes on. So in keeping our lymphatic system healthy, as we say, you drink lots of water, eat healthy diet rich in alkaline foods and vegetables that provide the full range of vitamins, minerals, and nutrition. Include healthy fats in your diet. I'm going to start moving along this slide, and exercise daily, including both aerobic and anaerobic physical activity. Many of us um, take, note. Please take note. You may have a loved one who is actually having these issues taking place in their body and they don't know how, you know, and some of the things that you will be seeing on the screen, many of my people who have been logged on or who have, done part of health and wellness with me, these are some of the equipment that I use because I practice quantum medicine, all right? And it's a medicine that diagnoses, the body systems, how it is run, functioning. The scan shows certain areas in the system that is weak and unhealthy. Another one is doing the live blood analysis, where we take a finger prick of your blood and put into the slide. Now, if you are looking at this slide, now I'll explain what you see in your lymphatic system. You see all these little white things around the cells there. That is what we call the lymph, right? In the plasma here, within the bloodstream, in the intestinal tissue. When it is cleaned and healthy, this is what it looks like, fatty lipids breaking down into the system. This is a cardiovascular patient. Guess what's happening? If the lymph is not breaking down the fat soluble foods, the LDLs, all of that, this is what you tend to see. All these white here, protein development into the bloodstream, which will cause a direct attack to cardiovascular issues. Crystals building up in the system, clogged arteries and vessels. Once they do, certain supplementation was put into their bodies, and within 45 minutes, a healthy cell. Now, folks, these are some of the things that we can do. I have a disclaimer here that says it is not a diagnosis for specific disease, but it reflects one's dietary and lifestyle habits. Many of you are having these conditions happening to your body, and you think it's something, it's going on. Oh gosh, I'll die, but it's just simply habits and lifestyle we need to adapt to, And what we do, we consult with your medical doctor or practitioner and do the adjustments when necessary in your bloodstream. All right, this is what our diet look like today, people. I mean, after COVID, everybody was home cooking their own food, planting the garden, eating from the back and feeling a little more healthy. Now, you could go to the restaurant and fast food. This is what starts happening, and guess what's going to happen? We're going to have obesity and lack of energy, heart disease, hypertension start kicking in once more. I'm seeing it happening here in Trinidad. I don't know by extension outside there in the Caribbean and elsewhere. We must keep, as what we are seeing here, the mitochondria in these cells healthy, direct to the lymphatic system. So some of the recommendations that you've seen here is where we need to be at, all right? And I have to say, I have to go back to where the origin says, I have given you every herb that yields seed. I mean, folks, I don't want to become, spiritual here, but the divine has given us everything that we need on the face of the earth to keep healthy, all right? And here's a scholar says it, Hippocrates said, the father of medicine, we keep quoting him all the time. Let food be your medicine. What food we are eating, even some I read earlier on when I started what is going on, and we have forced the population to be, we are the creation of artificial foods lacking in natural vitamins and minerals in our body. All right. Here, the Hippocratic oath saying, but we largely ignored his advice. We don't believe in it. One of them was our two-time Nobel Prize winner, Linus Pauling, who coined that term. All right, let food be your medicine in our time. This is what food is: a healthy, balanced diet that supplies the body with sufficient nutrients to carry out tasks. Supplements such as vitamins, minerals, essential fatty acids, EFAs, phytochemicals, and more enriched bodies that it gives the body the internal environment to fortify cellular protection, repair, and rejuvenate. Folks, this is what we need now. I have to say that the foods that we are eating is not giving us the vitamin and minerals, so we are forced to supplement in some way. But what are we using? Our body cannot come to wellness status, where it's called homeostasis, to maintain that balance and environment that the body can fight against these things. So we are still scrambling and groping to find something that works in our bodies. And folks, I have to say tonight that I am blessed and thankful, and I must say blessed and thankful, because you see these products on the system that you are seeing here, you see reverse, recover, and restore. Now, I could safely say at this point, after looking at these products for the past 2 years and only becoming really active with these products for the last 6 months, that I have seen homeostasis taking place in our body. I have prayed arduously to find a company that is going to bring a system to us, not in capsules, I believe in liquid, because it absorbs, it chelates faster into the bloodstream when we are dealing with these stubborn illnesses, pathogens in our system. And I am thankful that I have landed this company where they can make formulations that can hit the body at the cellular level. Remember, I said I'm an orthomolecular specialist. I treat people at that cellular level. We have lots. I'm not dissing other supplements on the market. It has worked, but guess what? It is not beaten into that barrier and getting straight to that mitochondrial level to really fight against these things. So you know what? It just hitting the surface. It is helping, I must say, yes, but it is not giving the renewal and regeneration that the body needs in these times, because we are eating fake food. It's just plastics we are eating. Somebody was telling me the other day that they're trying to cook some, was it eggs or something? Don't quote me on it. And she said the thing was like it's not cooking, it's like plastic sizzling. And it's like, what is this? So this is what we are putting in our body, and it's causing stones in our kidneys, it's causing backup in our intestines, and just killing our immune system. And I'm thankful that we are made over 37 trillion cells, and God is able to provide what the body needs, these 43 essential nutrients. And what this company really, the groundwork in it, is actually what they say: medicalized solutions for tomorrow, in the focusing on metabolic syndrome and well-being. All right. What it does, these combinations of products is offering us medicalized solutions based on a combined expertise of nanotechnology, nutraceutical formulations, and is clinically tested in vivo, people. It wasn't tested on no rat or no cat or no nothing. It was tested on human beings, and that is what it is all about. So it's not, it has shown and proven what their focus is on. And the science behind it is actually targeting what we are dealing with in this time. The metabolic factor syndrome is becoming the major health issue around the world. You're gaining weight, you're eating food, you're using whatever, you're killing yourself on a machine, you're walking for umpteen hours and your belly still fat. Your stomach still feeling bloated, you're off key, your head foggy, all these kind of madness taking place. And now with more stress, COVID, you're home, you can't breathe, move. So it even, causing mental issues as well in our system. So what they have done, they have studied the science behind gut health, and they had studied some people called the centenarians, which live 100, 150. Folks, many of you on this program and on programs that I have done before, I must say I'm thankful that it's not me, but it's you. You have to take the next step with your health. Many persons who say, Denise, I'm pregnant. Wow, what? I over 50, I have grandchildren and I get pregnant. You know why? Because the body is made to rejuvenate, heal, and restore itself. So once it gets into wellness, it is going to do what the body is required. You have to do your next step. I can't tell you what you need to do. So here we have, the Hasaki, and we talk about the Hasaki, which is actually a meal replacement. It comes in two flavors, the chocolate and vanilla. And guess what? The benefits that you've seen on the screen, it nourishes the microbiota with 96 metabolites, which helps for absorption, production, for breaking down your fatty lipids in your body, production of absorption of 20% improve in your protein. Many of us doing protein way, protein here, protein there, and everywhere, and it is not absorbing into our bodies to build muscle because guess what? We just spoke about the lymphatic system and how the body breaks down the lipids. Hello, hello. And it increases the oxidation of fat in our system. So it's no secret that skipping meals can cause your metabolism to slow down, yes, and cause weight gain. But if you stop cheating yourself and load up on essential proteins and vitamins, all we have in one shake. So it is loaded with a natural meal replacement. And that doesn't mean you drink Hasaki all the time and don't eat, right? People, come on. We got to use wisdom here, okay? And it allows the body, as I say, to absorb 20% more in vitamins and proteins than many of the shakes on the market outside there. What it's scientifically proven to do is to optimize your metabolic system and your vitamin intake. Because many times we take vitamin, and if you sit down or look out to dig a hole, as one of our health professors say in Trinidad, and you poop in it, you might see the whole tablet come out in the hole. I think he did that at some point when he was detoxing. I mean, it sounds funny, but these are the things that happen because your body is not even breaking it down. But placebo effect, oh, I take this and it helps and I'm feeling real good. You see how good your body and your mind works? So, it also improves the digestion of nutrients and also, helps the body to metabolize. And we have the Belage. Oh my, I love the Belage. That's my baby. That's my combination for persons who are really, really toxic and chronic. All right. It helps to reactivate our body's antioxidants. All right. It actually increases energy production. Now, let me tell you what that Belage does, people. That a combination, the Crenu and the Belage is a combination of what goes on with a system. To me, that's like a wellness in itself. You consume the Belage during the day within 24 hours because it mixes in 16 ounces, preferably in the morning, and it stimulates and increases the activity of two major antioxidant enzymes, which is called SOD and GPX. What that is, substances strong detoxification and antioxidants effective in the body. And it also has the ADS, which is an advanced delivery system. Now, folks, it is developed with nanotechnology, which means it allows, what nano means, tiny, little increments at a time that feeds the body slowly, and it leads directly to the site where it becomes effective in the body to get into the interior cells, the mitochondria, which is responsible for most of the energy. Folks, I had this week two young ladies taking this product, and within 24 hours, Monday she took it, Tuesday morning she started PPing, blockage, she find it, the PP not coming out, she have a stoppage of all of that slight bleeding. Guess what? She didn't even realize she had kidney stones. It was breaking down the kidney stones within 24 hours. When she called me and tell me what happened, I said, hey, girlfriend, all your quarry coming out your body. She started to laugh. She's not going to have a doctor this morning to check it out. Kidney stones. She didn't even know she had kidney stones, people. All right? And those are some of the testimonies that we hear, now we've seen in real life. Persons who have blood sugar levels in 300 going down in 125 after 48 hours, checking, So the new generation of something called the OE3, which is the orlisol enzyme, it's a complex which helps to upregulate antioxidant enzymes at the cellular level. So it detoxifies regeneration, and guess what? It reduces the lipids in our bodies, like breaking down to smaller. pieces, all right? And it supports mental energy as well. So it regulates again the metabolic enzyme, which we have, oh Lord, hell going through in this time of our lives, all right? And it actually offers antioxidants and help upregulate the body, improvement for the metabolizing of the system in the body, all right? Then we have the inner seven. Okay, the inner seven. I love it because I study preach magnesium, potassium, sodium, zinc in the body. It improves the natural defense mechanism, balances your pH, stimulates, as you see, improves the digestion. And guess what? It recovers your body's essential minerals. All right. So we always leaking and lacking, especially magnesium. Magnesium don't stay in your body after 3 to 4 hours. So the revitalization and the holding more in your loading cells actually helps the body to become it's a highly bioactive complex. It improves and increase feeling of lightness. It supports the body's pH. Actually, as it says, it burns the fat. It supports the hormone balance and diabetes parameters in the body. It supports relaxation and healthy nervous system. I mean, folks, tonight I didn't have my host tonight, and I had to, run the session nearly. I think it's going to an hour, a little over an hour, but it was well worth it. I have my inner seven mixed with my Belage, mixed with my Crenue, and it is hot, and I am sipping. So it is keeping me hydrated, going on, and relaxed at the same time. All right. It's pumping process. It comes from the deep sea water, and it is designed, and which has been designated by the Japanese government. So there is no, it is reaped from deep water, sea water. So no contaminants is around there. Totally regarded safety. All right. And guess what? These minerals, I love it. Magnesium, calcium, potassium, selenium, zinc, and copper. Wow, wow, wow. These are what the body needs, essential for popping in function in the body. What the magnesium does, folks, it helps convert your blood sugar to energy. And it's a natural anti-stress agent as well. Who stress out here? Having all the children home, don't know every minute they want something to eat, pumping some mineral into their body, it attracts water to the intestines and soon as digested and reduces constipation. I've known persons who have dehydration in their intestines, pulling in, and not being hydrated, and you think you're drinking gallons of water, but it's not getting in there because the gallons of water don't have minerals in it. All right, so let's face it. The selenium has effect on vitamin C, which regenerates and protects the microcirculation. So guess what? Microcirculation, you know what that means? It's going into the venuses of the body, which is the smaller veins in the system that we even don't even get anything at all when the body is out of whack. Lymphatic system, hello, so you can, attach potassium. The potassium regulates the heart and muscle, and it also promotes smooth transition of signals caused by stimulus along nerves. People who have nerve issues, all of these things, it's ongoing. It helps in their body, and the copper regulates the blood cholesterol. So when you see sometimes lack of potassium, you might get, it affects the thyroid too, because you might get heartbeat rates up, you might feel anxiety attacks and so forth. A low iron in the blood, the hemocrite. So what these minerals does to help, beef back up, and you might think, oh God, I get a heart attack. But it's not a heart attack, honey. You're just, lacking of certain minerals in your body. Sorry to say, you're just poor in minerals and food. Your body is just starving. I don't mean to offend anybody, right? So the efficacy of that inner seven, you take it, you can mix it together with your Belage. It also mixes 16 ounces, and it gives results between 10 to 15 minutes. All right. So then we have the Crenue fire, which everybody like, yay, Crenue, because it absorbs the calories and sugars and carbs while you sleep. Many of us don't like to go to the gym. For me personally, yeah, I'm a lazy one. I mean, I must say, yeah, I have my little, issues. I really don't like to wake up. I'm not an early morning girl, but the thing about it is that, I could have my Crenue, so I cheat a little bit. So I don't really have to go to the gym, have my Crenue, rest. It burns my carbs, it burns my fat while I sleep, which is important, because that's the time, The circadian rhythm work in burning the body. It rejuvenates at night, reducing the accumulation of fat, especially in the abdominal area. How many of us, girls and guys, want to control that cholesterol deposit there around the tummy areas? And again, it has the ADS, which is the Advanced Delivery System, and the ONR, which means Auxiliary Night Reset. What that is, it's an enhanced version that developed so the body can reset to operate at night by reducing the impact of the excessive carbs that we consume. So it acts directly on the carbohydrates like sucrose, fructose, and lactose to encourage fat accumulation, redistribution in the body. So it's not going to be stored in one area. Again, the interior of the cells, it reaches to the mitochondria, the organelles, which is responsible for supplying most of the energy necessary for our cellular activity. So, sometimes you feel that you're looking tired, you get up in the morning after 8 hours of sleep and like you drag train, you're still tired, your eye looking like it can't lift up in the morning. Well, right. You need two matchsticks to hold them up. Right. Well, all of these things, it's going to, help with the body. It's an alpha amylase inhibitor, and it also helps the body to do its breaking down with the fatty lipids in the body. The black beans is the ingredients of it is black beans, which has a high quality of both proteins and fibers, which help with digestion and also help the blood to process and regulate. The rosemary extract, some people read and they gone up online now. You see how Google bad? They want to see the product. They take in the pharmaceutical drugs for umpteen how much all years, and they're having no relief after 30 years. They come now to a, a health specialist like myself, and I will call those in Jamaica. I know Master Clive and Sir Donald, and they ask it, this could work in 2 hours. They take it and they expect miracles. Yes, I believe in miracles, but people, your body didn't get so overnight. It gets so after 30 umpteen years. So the body needs to take its time to reset its circadian rhythm when these things go out of whack. All right. So they read something with rosemary, they send up your blood pressure, and oh Lord, and this and the other. But rosemary, if it's used in the right formulation, people, it extracts and provides powerful antioxidants and protects the heart and different lipids and regulation in the body's thermogenesis to remove the fatty tissues. The olive leaf extract has also been known to help with the tissues of issues that happens with the liver, the tissues in the liver damage. So that is why we have all of these issues taking place, and you wonder why you're on cholesterol meds and it's not going away for years, and now it has become a lymphatic problem with the body because your lymphatic system is out of whack. Folks, tonight I want to leave you with this note. As I said, on a spiritual note, who has the sun set free is free indeed. I'm not going to close off. If you guys have to leave, I just want to take in some comments of some of my, beloved people here on this call. And you guys open up your lines and feel free. But I want to say this before you open up your line. Did you lose me?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just asking, have you heard when I explained the Sankey product?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So maybe maybe it wasn't muted. Yeah, oh, by mistake. Okay, great. So I was just saying to you guys, the person who controls your thoughts control your life. So without further ado, I think I went to a well over, 9:34, 9. We started about 20 past 8. So many of you, I would like, if persons can shine in, like, just open up your mics and share your experience, share those who, have started, or those you who just want to share a thought with us tonight. Please do open up your mics. I would like to hear from you. I would like to call on, before you guys, get your thoughts in order. can I just call on Master Clive hailing from Jamaica? Can you just unmute? I need to hear your voice. Blessings to you.
Oh, good night to you, Lady Denise. It's
Yes,
good being on the call. Let me say hello to everybody that's on the call right now. Yeah, I had to be making a lot of notes. The
yes,
lymphatic system is quite a system,
yes,
and we are happy for the information on it. We're having a deeper level of respect for it, and we need to know how to take better care of it. So the level of information is shared tonight was very profound, and I'm hoping that somehow it was recorded that we can listen to it again
yes,
and again so we can
yes,
get
I
it.
did.
Yeah, man. Well, let me thank you also how you explain the benefits of the Sankey Fit system. Indeed, a lot of persons don't always want to be taking some more pills or capsules, but the
Yes,
format in which these products are presented makes it quite easy for persons to use them. And also on top of that, they are very efficacious. So it's a win-win situation. Tastes good and it's good for you. And I thank you for taking the time for how you explain how the body works, how the body is grateful when you take care of it, the products that we can use in terms of supplementation, and what are some of the latest cutting edge in terms of what science is saying. So you are such an excellent presenter. When I grow up, I wish I can be like you.
oh no, I learned from you at times, so come on. Yes. Thank
Yeah,
you so
ma'am.
much, Master Clive. You're so kind. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
uh, okay. Anybody would like to shine in? What's your, I see Sir Donald put a question. I put pressure on my knees. Can it affect the lymph nodes there? Oh yes, it can, because certain blockages can happen if the wound is still in healing stages, or if certain things are not, moving in the inflammation that needs to move out in its way. But the body is amazing, eh? It's so amazing that it's made to heal itself, so that we can, you listen. So Donald, come on, you're the master of knowing these things. Can you just shine in for two seconds? Your comments. I'd love to hear you. I'm not sure if he's on. You just unmute your mic. I guess maybe he's not, or I don't know, can. But appreciate you, sir, on the call. Anybody please shine in, share. Michelle, I'm calling in. Michelle,
Hi, good night.
good night.
Good night. Since I'm taking the Balage, I really feel and so forth. Yeah,
Oh, we miss you
I
there.
feel a different.
Yes.
Hi,
Okay. Yes. Yes. Go ahead.
I said since I have been on the Balage,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have noticed a difference in my body. I feel more relaxed. I feel more energetic. Yeah,
Right. Right.
I
So
really do feel a difference. Yeah,
yeah, and you've just been on it for like about 2 weeks now, okay?
just about 2 weeks. Yeah,
Yes. Wonderful.
but there's a really a difference, a different feeling. My body. Yeah.
You want to share some of the things that you used to be going through before, and how your system was feeling, if you feel comfortable to.
Okay.
Mhm.
um, Good night, everyone. What I was experiencing is that my shoulders used to be very uh, stiff. It would be stiff and it would be sodden a bit. And because of that, I'll feel pains in my head. I'll feel like the nerves, as
Yeah.
they say, you're feeling like ants walking on you, you feel the
Yes.
nerves moving, that kind of thing. And I'll experience headaches and so forth. And then you
Yes.
might feel a little like dizziness and things
Yes.
like that. So listening about the lymphatic system and all of that, I am thinking, not drinking enough water. And, as you said, the
Yes.
importance of it.
Yeah.
I realized that changes,
Yes.
lifestyle changes is very important,
Hmm.
But as I said, since I'm drinking the Belage, but today I did not get any problems with the shoulders.
Right.
Thank God. So I felt a difference. I'm feeling different. I am
Yes.
feeling different, changes in the body
Yes.
slowly but surely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Amen to that. Yes, we know because the science behind it, you know, I'm more like, yes, we believe in the divine and creator. He gave us these bodies and it has its way to do. But if we don't do from a from our physical standpoint to, do things to keep the body going, all will
Yes.
fall down. So,
Well, as you said, we have to use wisdom.
that's
Can't
right.
just operate like that. Yeah.
Yes. And that is what they focus on. The science behind it is because the progression of slow progression of metabolism happening in our body is we need a fast action solution. So
Mm-hmm.
with these things that's going on, we have long term devastating impacts in our health, diabetes, cardiovascular, hypertension, all these things. So now we have to get something that can really put us back on the map once more. Because let's
Yeah.
face it, the food that we are eating now is it's chemically grown, it's synthetic, it's all kind of
Yes.
things
Yes.
going on. So at least at some point we have to supplement. It is know about it, you know,
Yeah.
and to find a good way. So far, I'm happy and satisfied that at least the Creator has heard some cries.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're
Any
welcome.
You're welcome, hon. Anybody else? Anybody want to share? Diane, I know you unless you fall asleep.
No, no, no. I am still. Good night,
Good
everyone.
night.
Um, I started taking the Balage it's about a month now,
Yes. Hmm.
and I am feeling so energized. And as the person said before, how she's feeling, I am also getting that same sign as well. I'm not tired as I used to be. I could go whole day and normally when time to go to sleep, like I can't even sleep, but I know I have to go and rest.
Yes.
So normally I would sleep comfortable, and when I get up in the morning, I'm not tired. I'm getting up energized.
Hmm.
And so normally at times they will say, "But I'm tired, I want to go back and sleep." No, that is not happening. One problem I had before, had a problem with constipation. I noticed that and all cleared up.
Right.
And sometimes I'm still trying to figure out how the body feeling, but I
Hmm.
know there's a difference. There is a big difference. A
Wonderful.
few days, well, Denise, as you know, had a high blood pressure,
Yes.
and I realized that it going down. Yeah, I was like, no, what's one? No, it was 157, 155 over this, over 96, and all kind of thing. Day before yesterday, I checked it and it was 137 over 77.
Hmm.
Wow.
That's a good pressure reading for, yes, your
Yeah,
biological age. Hmm. Although,
yes.
although biologically you might be that age, but you're younger. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, your biosystems are younger. Yeah.
And on Friday, I checked it at 6 o'clock in the morning. It was 135 over 80.
Hmm.
Like, no, something not this thing like it really working. So
Yes.
as I am on the Belange and the Coronet,
Hmm.
yeah. And my
Um,
dad,
yes.
okay, he's 1 year. He
Say again
started
his
taking
age.
91.
Wow.
And I started him on the Belage. Normally he to get up the needs hurting him, he taking long to go to the washroom and whatever, he not hearing properly. And last week I noticed that I had distance away from him and speaking, and he actually hearing and telling me that a phone ringing. The phone was on he was hearing the phone from the distance. I was like, how he hearing that? Normally he don't hear nothing.
Hmm.
In one ear,
Amazing.
and he properly on his left ear. And where I was standing was way on the right side of him.
Right.
And he's walking faster now. So
So you know the
it's very
knee fixing. Oh,
I was like,
wow.
Yeah, so that's my testimony for the village.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
Yeah,
Well, folks, I thank you tonight. And
yeah.
you guys, I want to say hi to Professor Alvin. Can you unmute? I know you came on late, but I know, you know, it's not of your doing because I know you're very, very. Can you just shine in tonight? A little word of advice, encouragement.
A pleasant good evening.
Good
Please
evening.
confirm, please confirm that I'm being heard loudly and clearly. I'm using
Yes.
set up my phone so that transmission may be a bit different.
Yes, we're hearing you.
So first of all, I apologize. I came on the call a bit late, but I know that Dr. Denise, as I like to call her, would have done herself and everyone else who is known to her and who has been assisted by her. She would have done everybody proud with her explanation and the sincerity with which it would have been presented. So I saw no difference to the section that I got and caught tonight. And folks, we have to recognize that as things change, as things evolve, we also need to evolve the approaches that we use
Yes.
in terms of this single system, a collection of systems that we call our body. Believe it or not, we be in this planet except we are in this body. And we cannot function properly and discharge our respective missions. And each of us have one. Whether we
Yes.
know it and have discovered it fully or not is another conversation. But each of us need to ensure that our collection of systems for this body is functioning at the best possible level that it can.
Yes.
We are seeing all sorts of different threats that perhaps our grandparents would not have had to face. They don't have a clue, would not have ever envisaged something called COVID-19, for instance, being a feature of life as they
Yes.
knew it. It is quite different now in 2020, and if you listen to all of the experts, real or perceived, this will become the new normal, where our
Yes.
bodies are now being failed by engineered, whether we believe that or not,
Yes.
viruses or manipulated viruses. And therefore, the levels of defense, the levels of offense, the levels of systems, nutrients that we are required to use also have to be upgraded to meet and exceed what we are confronted with. I think the scientific system is excellent in that respect. I personally have used it and noted the difference in terms of cravings that I would have experienced at night when I used the inner 7 and the corner fire. And I am actually out of stock and need now to replenish. Okay. And now I haven't tried it on myself. I would want now to have my family take it
Yes.
because we are seeing what's happening in schools. These are the cases that and make those of us thinking I need to be going out here where we have to spend or have to make that difficult decision of sending our children
Yes.
into an environment with a real threat of the increase of COVID-19
Yes.
in the school. Children will be children. I feel they're going to have a real putting on and keeping on a mask and not wanting to hug up the friends that they haven't seen in months,
Yes.
play various games. We know what children and how children are. And therefore, over and above all of the routines and protocols like
Yes.
washing hands and all those things, we need also to provide them with advanced levels of defense. And I think this system is just one such approach. And please, let's do what we need to do to avail ourselves of it, get to know it better. And as we benefit from it, we should also talk about it. Because as Professor Larry Pereira, as I like to call him, when we are exposed and given these kinds of information, it is our right, we have our responsibility now to share it with others.
Yes.
I said more than I think I should have been saying. Dr. Denise, I yield the floor back to you. Thank you for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you. Thank you. So kind. All right, folks. I think that's a wrap tonight. Thank you for joining. Thank you for sharing. Love you guys and have a fruitful and wonderful week ahead. Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night.